Hi there. This is going to be a talk about Nirvana, about ascension, about spiritual awakening. About I want to really talk about how this all happened for me, and all started when I was 24 years of age. I had an unexpected spiritual awakening. And to cut a long story short, it's like what David Icke says. It's like the bubble's burst, the perceptual bubble is burst, the illusion, and you're now connecting with your higher self, your higher awareness, your divinity, God. And you're going through this journey of healing. And as you're going through this, you're becoming more really centered, because you're realizing that your perceptions were the problem, and that we are, in fact, most of us are brainwashed to perceive reality as a disaster. And that the awakening, what it did for me was it showed me that I don't have to look from that angle. If you change the way you're looking at things, everything can be like amazing and perfect. And in science now, they talk about heart-based living, and how through heart-based living you can actually, and looking at everything as like love and healing, you can really develop your immune system. But and getting and on the spiritual awakening path, and going through a lot of healing, and Nirvana is the state that you're entering. And how that is entered is because you're realizing more and more that reality, in your reality, is based on how you perceive it. And then you start to be more centered, because you're realizing that you create everything. And that, in fact, the me before the awakening, for example, was a programmed version that was programmed from birth, and everything around you, remember, everything around you went through the same system as well. And so they're all basically brainwashed. And when you have that awakening, it's like, oh my God, it's such a shock. And then you're basically living, when you wake up, you're just going by common sense. But logic and common sense is seen as crazy, and crazy is actually seen as normal. And this is honestly the way it is. A really stupid person is seen, and not non-rational. I mean, normal is someone who oh, God is real, and praising this separate force that he or she doesn't even know exists. But when you say that everything has to come from nothing, which is rational, to say logical, that's not accepted. So atheists will be demonized and stuff, and anyone, not even a religious person. I mean, I'm not religious myself, but if you say all things must start from nothing, which is logical and common sense to say that, that's not accepted. Because this way of looking at the world, that you've got no power, keeps you away from Nirvana. Nirvana is a state that is achieved when you really understand that everything's actually perfect or a disaster if you choose to look from those angles. And then as you're realizing this, you're becoming more intelligent, and you're becoming more centered, and you're tapping into awareness, which is beyond like thought. Thought is a very low level of intelligence compared to pure awareness and pure knowing and pure feeling. And this is what's happening and how it was for me in this spiritual awakening process. that's just it. And I realize now, and as I'm realizing more and more that everything's perfect, everything's becoming perfect. And then you start to become abundance because you're centered. When you're becoming more centered and you've got no inhibitions, you're letting the ego go. Your feelings in your reality become more perfect and more harmonized. And this is the route to amazing health. Like I said earlier in the video, it's scientific fact. There's a thing called heart-based living. And in heart-based living, which is science, they talk about how through this changing your thoughts and feelings like this, you actually create this harmonious energy field within your body. And it's a great way to really grow your immune system. See, our immune system has great capabilities. Like vaccinations, what vaccinations do, and this is a fact, you can look this up, that vaccinations actually are detrimental to the growth of your own immune system. The next question is that what they're for? Because it's a well-known fact also that there's actually a herb cure and a natural remedy for every problem. But vaccinating the world is another way of suppressing the human awareness and the potential for our growth and our growth of our immune system as well. But people, when they're more asleep, they don't see the game. It's like they just see what's going on, but they don't see the whole picture. When you become more awake and more conscious, you can actually see the whole picture. It's like you're in tune with the past, present, and future because you realize that they don't actually exist. But the Nirvana stage, that is enlightenment. It's basically achieved because you know that your reality can be perfect if you want it, and it's actually your mind and your thinking and your perceptions that determines your whole reality. That's why MDMA is illegal, and it makes people feel like in a state of nirvana and loved up, and that alcohol, which makes people go nuts, is perfectly legal, because they don't want people in a state of joy and loved up. They don't want that, because then you have humans that are evolving. What the system wants is suppressed. It's suppressed humans that are scared of whatever's going on, in fear. That's what all the climate change is about, the 5G is about, the coronavirus. It's all fear-based because there's a global awakening going on, and the system is terrified of this global awakening, and they're trying their utmost best to stop it, but it can't be stopped. Because even if you have coronavirus or any virus or flu or anything like that, when you go through things like this, this is a well-known fact, that when you go through an illness and you overcome it, your immune system gets stronger. And this awareness and understanding of our potential of this kind of stuff is awakening within the people as a whole. So that's why the system is trying to frighten people. It's like a boxing match which the system has lost, and it's in the last round now, and we've got the decision. We've got the points decision. We've won. The people have won, and the people are awakening now. Where we're developing to a collective consciousness. And the people that have had the spiritual awakenings are just examples. That if you've had an awakening, you've had that to be an example. To show people that they can have any reality they want. It's all to do with, like I say, your perceptions, and that determines your whole reality and experience. And through this, you can steer your reality into this perfect nirvana state, and then you need nothing outside of you. And then what you're going to have, if you ever have relationships with those kind of people, those relationships are pure love with no egoness or neediness attached. That's what is possible with ascension and enlightenment and nirvana and spiritual awakening. First, you need the spiritual awakening, because that spiritual awakening opens you up and you then have a knowing instead of a believing. So you need that awakening to take, so you then, oh, wow, okay. And then you're on this path now. Without the awakening, you can't do that, because you're just left with you. If I didn't have this awakening, for example, I wouldn't have tapped into all this knowledge. I wouldn't have all this knowing and insight and clarity. So you need that big awakening, but how do you awaken? You awaken by facing yourself, by understanding that all is just what you feel in any situation is the reflection of you. And you awaken by being aware. Awakening is just self-awareness. It's choosing to be self-aware. And as you're doing that, you awaken more and more all the time. We've been brainwashed to be so dependent on systems and governments and thinking the world's going to change externally, but it's only internally that your world can change. It's all internal. Once you're doing that, that is the road to Nirvana. Like I was saying, that's how you induce any ecstasy type drug feelings within you, is by being more centered, and that you're on this road to perfect feelings, and you know, just like becoming love awareness, you know, because love is a bunch of feelings. It's clarity, it's insight, it's knowing, it's understanding, which leads to euphoria and bliss. And that's why the system fears the global awakening, because that's what this is all leading to. For everybody, if they want it. You know, you can have anything you want if you want it, like when John Lennon said, war's over if you want it. That's true. We, the people, make the world the way it is. You know, and that this is through knowing that you create your reality. Like I say, that is the road to ascension and the road to nirvana. And then you're in this perfect state of being like, oh my God, and you create all this perfect ecstasy within you through just not worrying so much, by not letting the world control you, and you're letting within you lead the way. And that is that is the road to ascension and ultimately nirvana, which is a state of absolute peace and euphoria and bliss within. And that's how you enter that, and that's how you ascend towards that and develop towards that. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. And if I always say this, if you're watching, you're meant to watch it. Everything follows divine order and divine timing. You are all of infinity. You are God, and all is within you. Thank you for watching. Thank you.